You are incredibly fragile. A drop of just a few degrees in your core temperature, a slight dip in oxygen, or a sudden shift in atmospheric pressure, and your biological systems start failing in minutes. That makes venturing into deep space an impossible test for our species. Up there, the environment is actively trying to dismantle your physical structure. In zero gravity, your body stops experiencing physical load. Without that constant resistance, your muscles atrophy and your bones slowly dissolve. Add in the relentless bombardment of cosmic radiation, and your DNA takes a massive beating. Normally, a species adapts to a hostile environment over thousands of generations. But if we want to become a multiplanetary species, we lack the millennia required for natural selection to do its job. Instead of waiting on evolution, we have to engineer our own biology, and the genetic blueprints we need are already here. Deep within isolated human populations, right here on Earth, the specific genetic codes required to survive off-world already exist. This globe highlights the most extreme environments on the planet. For thousands of years, the people living in these zones have been subjected to intense evolutionary pressure, developing unique physiological traits simply to survive. We are going to systematically analyze these biological workarounds. By pulling the most resilient traits from each distinct population, we can theoretically assemble a far more capable spacefaring human. Earth's harshest climates act as evolutionary laboratories, refining the biological mechanisms required to survive the conditions of deep space. The most immediate problem in deep space is the absolute vacuum outside the ship. One atmospheric breach and you face instant asphyxiation and severe pressure damage. To solve this, we extract genetics from the Sama Bajau people of Southeast Asia. They live a hunter-gatherer lifestyle, mostly submerged in the ocean, capable of holding their breath underwater for over 10 minutes at a time. This diagram illustrates their biological advantage. On the right is a Sama Bajau spleen, which is 50% larger than a standard human spleen. When diving, this organ acts like a biological scuba tank, pulsing to pump extra oxygen-rich red blood cells directly into their bloodstream. Breath holding covers the pressure side of our problem, but our astronaut also needs to process thin, low-oxygen atmospheres. For that, we turn to the Sherpa people of the Himalayas. At 5,000 meters above sea level, average humans experience severe altitude sickness as fluid builds up in their lungs. The Sherpa possess a genetic mutation that grants them a naturally larger lung capacity, allowing them to extract and use limited oxygen far more efficiently. Combining the Sama Bajau's oxygen storage capacity with the Sherpa's atmospheric efficiency gives our engineered astronaut a cardiopulmonary system virtually immune to thin air. Once our astronaut can breathe, they face the massive temperature swings of the cosmos, alongside the logistical burden of dragging enough food and water across the galaxy to stay alive. To handle the freezing void, we look to the Inuit people of the Arctic, who thrive in environments where temperatures plunge to minus 40 degrees Celsius. Their bodies operate like internal engines. They possess an abundance of a specialized tissue called brown fat. Unlike regular fat, brown fat is packed with mitochondria, the powerhouses of the cell. This allows the Inuit to maintain a metabolic rate up to 200% higher than average, generating intense core heat. Now flip the thermometer. To deal with extreme heat and conserve water, we integrate the biology of the Maasai tribe from the scorching African desert. Averaging around 6 feet tall, with longer, skinnier limbs, their physical structure maximizes skin surface area. This allows their bodies to rapidly dump excess heat without sweating as much, fiercely conserving their internal water supply. Finally, to solve the caloric resource issue, we study the African pygmies. Standing at an extremely compact 4 feet 11 inches, their reduced stature drastically lowers the total biological resources required to sustain life. Merging Inuit internal heating, Maasai heat dissipation, and a pygmy compact frame results in a biologically sustainable explorer, requiring a fraction of the life support usually needed for deep space. There is one final environmental hurdle. Deep space subjects the human body to constant cosmic radiation and potential exposure to toxic extraterrestrial compounds. For advanced biological filtering, we take a genetic sample from the Uru people, who live high up in the Bolivian Andes Mountains. The water supply in their region is heavily contaminated with naturally occurring volcanic arsenic. For a standard human, drinking this leads to severe abdominal pain, cellular damage, and eventual organ failure. As you can see in this cellular visualization, the uru possess the AS3MT gene. It functions as a metabolic shredder, rapidly breaking down and detoxifying arsenic, so the body can excrete it before it reaches a lethal concentration. Integrating this gene gives our astronaut a foundational filter for inorganic contaminants. It's the first layer of a biological system capable of processing and neutralizing the kind of heavy metal toxins often found in volcanic and asteroid-rich environments. We now have all the biological pieces. Watch this wireframe model as we assemble Astronaut 2.0. We apply expanded Sherpa lungs, the enlarged Bajau spleen, compact pygmy and Maasai limbs, and Inuit brown fat. We integrate the DLX3 gene to increase bone density, countering microgravity decay, and add P53 genes to repair radiation-damaged DNA. Compared to the highly engineered, resilient specimen you see here, the baseline human we started with looks hopelessly fragile. Human biology is highly adaptable software that can be reprogrammed to survive entirely new conditions. To successfully travel beyond our solar system, we will eventually reach the limit of what a metal ship can protect. The next step in conquering the stars requires us to look backward into our own evolutionary history and engineer a better human.